Good afternoon. You're watching Your Stocks. We answer all your stocks and investment-related queries here. I'm Mangla Malu. With me is Sonal. Looks like a bit of an iffy afternoon for us this morning. There was a dip. That dip was bought into. The markets went into the green. And from there on, there is another round of selling which has come by. And the Nifty closer to the lower end of today's trading range with a cut of almost 60-odd points as we speak. And the culprit for today's decline has been the Nifty Bank, which is currently sitting with a cut of almost 550 points. It'll be very interesting to see where it goes from here, because the Nifty Bank is now just 200 points away from the 29,000 mark. Remember, the 29,000 mark has the maximum put build up, and it is also weekly options expiry. 29,000 to 30,000 was the range on the Nifty Bank. That's playing out. And for the Nifty, we have 13,000 as an important speed bump on the way up. At the lower level, 12,800 is where the puts are extremely active. We will keep an eye out on that, but we will also answer your stocks and investment related queries. Hi.
Good afternoon, Manglam. Absolutely, right. We will answer all your stock queries, but just to look at the markets, as Manglam was pointing out, Bank Nifty is really the culprit today. But do remember, yesterday we did see, Manglam, that Bank Nifty recovered sharply from the lows at this point in time itself. Yep. And buy on dips has been the structure of the market so far. So we'll have to really see how it pans out from here. But first up, we'll take all the headlines. Sensex, Nifty, they are off the highs of the day, and we are seeing pressure in the bank names, but consumption stocks are seeing some buying. Banks are seeing profit taking on the back of global risk-off sentiment.
India Inc. confirms strong festive season buying. Titan says jewelry buying was in the mid-teens growth, and while Hero Moto says that retail sales were at 98% of last year's levels.
SpiceJet is up 10% as US authorities lift ban on Boeing 737 MAX flights. India's DGCA says it is studying the order. Separately, Vedanta confirms it has bid for BPCL, but most global majors refuse a comment.
Global and Indian economies will grow strongly in 2021, and hence the RBI will have to hike rates by the second half of this year, while the Fed too may taper its quantitative easing by 2022, says Morgan Stanley's Chetan Iyer.
Credit Suisse's Ashish Gupta says stressed debt in Q2 fell to a 5-year low of 35% of total corporate loans of banks. This compares to 55% of stressed debt in Q1. Fall in stress is largely because of an 8% jump in corporate EBITDA in Q2 over year-ago levels.
Alright, so let's get straight to answering your queries. We have two independent market experts, Shaina Mukaddam as well as Ruchi Jain, joining in to answer all your queries. Ruchi Jain, of course, will take you through the technicals, while Shaina Mukaddam will speak about the fundamentals. Thanks a lot, lady and gentlemen, for joining in. The first one, of course, comes in from Vijayawada. Sai Kiran writes to us, holds about 50 shares of Lupin at 953 odd rupees, wants to know whether to hold or sell. Shaina, your views on Lupin?
I would hold Lupin as of now, but definitely I would keep a stop loss. Keep a stop loss of about, let us say, 50 or 100 rupees lower from here, because basically they have continuing problems with the US FDA. 3 of their plants are under scrutiny, and any major negative news can really see the stock plummet. In terms of performance, the company has not really done that well in the first half. There are good products, especially in the respiratory segment, that are likely to be launched in the later part of the year and are likely to support US sales, which have done reasonably well in the last quarter. So in terms of prospects, it remains reasonably stable, but there are a lot of risks attached. So I would be really careful with adding any more at current levels. If I'm adding, I would wait for any declines. But if I'm holding, I can continue holding, keep stop losses.
Okay. Okay. And Lupin actually has underperformed the other pharma names in this year itself. So, Ruchit, what is your take on the stock? What should be done by the investor?
I think it's certainly one of the underperformers within the pharma space. But if I look at the charts, then I think the corrective phase has already been done from the highs of about 1100 recently seen. So this is not the level where he should look to exit from the stock. The prices are also trading around its 200-day moving average support, and hence we believe that in the next round of up move in the pharmaceutical space, we could see the stock again inching higher towards the 1,000 mark. So as of now, my advice for him to continue to hold on to the stock.
Okay. All right. So let's go across to our next viewer. Aditya writes to us from Bangalore. He holds 100 shares of VIP Industries at 310 rupees per share. He wants to know whether to hold or sell the share. Shaina, what do you suggest he should do?
I would suggest he holds on to VIP Industries. Basically, the first half has been a washout, and they have run up losses of more than 60 crores, which is huge. But if you look at the balance sheet is very strong. They have got good cash reserves on hand to, I would say, meet these difficult times. And in terms of manufacturing, they have got good facilities in Bangladesh, which I think will enable them to compete strongly, because a lot of other players are importing from China, etc. So I think in those terms also the company is very well placed. Difficult times, but I think things are picking up. So I would continue holding the stock.
All right, continue holding the stock. Meanwhile, Ruchit, yesterday we did see a big move come by on VIP as the unlock trade plays out. Maybe people, if they travel more, if they stay more in hotels, etc., at some point in time, they will also have to buy luggage as well. A big part of their market fundamentally comes in from wedding as well. And this morning we had Titan saying that wedding jewelry is doing well. So no, real reason to worry that maybe luggage sales may not do better as well. Of course, not as well as last year, given the decline that we've seen in the first half. Let's see whether that contains or not. Do you think that momentum is showing on the charts as well? What's your view, Ruchit?
I think, yes, certainly. I think that's why we have been witnessing some buying interest off late or in last couple of weeks. The prices have seen a buying momentum from the levels of around 265, 270 and now has reached 350. Now the mid-cap index has already confirmed the huge breakout on the long-term chart. So I think for next few months, the mid-cap space is likely to do considerably well. And looking at the price volume action that recently has been panned out on VIP Industries, I would suggest him to continue to hold on for targets around 400, 410. Technically, that is where the next set of resistance is coming. So around 400, 410, he can choose to take some money off the table, but at current levels, continue to hold.
All right, that's a view coming in on VIP Industries. Let's talk about another one coming in from Mumbai. Vipul Shah writes to us, holds about 150 shares of Global Spirits at 208 odd rupees, sitting on a fair amount of money. The stock has seen a big move from the start of this year. He's made a fair amount of that from 200 to around 308, but the stock, remember, had rallied from all the way close to around 60 odd rupees to the 315 odd rupees that it is at right now. A long-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell. Well, Ruchit, for a chart that looks so strong over the last few months, do you think he should continue to hold it or maybe take some profits while they're available?
And certainly, since he's a long-term investor, the charts are quite positive now also. So I would recommend him to continue holding to the stock. Yes, he can keep a stop loss in his profits, because on the charts, 270 is the level where the support base has been formed. The strong support base has been formed now. So till the stock is above the 270 mark, there's nothing to worry about. Keep a stop loss below 270, which is well above his cost price, and continue to hold on.
All right, so let's go across to our next query then. Sanjeev Suresh writes to us from Mumbai. He holds 300 shares of Imami at 184 rupees per share since March. He's a medium-term investor and wants to know whether to hold or sell. Ruchit, let me come across to you. What does the chart suggest?
We can see a high top, high bottom structure formation recently after that lows which were registered in the month of March, April. The stock has steadily moved higher. The support for the stock is now seen around 340, and the stock has potential to go further up, further up move towards 440, 450. So you can continue to hold with a stop below 340 for targets around 440 to 450.
All right, fair point. Again, Imami is one of those stocks where a lot of things are working for them over the last couple of months. They've revoked a lot of pledge that the promoters had on the shares. Over and above all of that, the results were rather good, and then there is valuation support as well, along with the tailwind that we're seeing from the immunity and natural space, and a big money maker from the lows and for our viewer out here. With that, we'll take a short break, come back, answer some more of your stocks and investment related queries when we come back.
Yeah, welcome back. You're tuned into Your Stocks on CNBC-TV18. Well, markets, they have fallen further. Mid-cap index is in the red, down around 14 odd points. The losses in Bank Nifty have actually come down further. It's down around 650 points on the Bank Nifty, and a lot of stocks seeing selling. So markets are at the day's low as we speak. But let's go across to our next query then. Mr. Praveen Gandhi writes to us from Ahmedabad. He holds 450 shares of Motherson Sumi at 197 rupees and 470 shares of Tata Motors at 285 rupees since 2 years. He is a long-term investor and wants to know whether to hold or sell the stock. So Shaina, let me come across to you. Auto has been the flavor of the season. What do you suggest? You expect this rally that we are seeing in the auto stocks to continue, or you expect some breather to come out there?
I expect the rally that we are seeing in auto stocks, auto anchs to continue. We are seeing very good numbers come out in October, and we've heard from most of the OEMs, improve production. So I think there is a positive sentiment as well as positive numbers that are coming out. Here, I think Motherson Sumi has, and in fact, even Tata Motors, both have seen huge corrections if you see in the past. And after stabilizing at current levels, I think both of them look attractive at current levels because there is margin expansion, better numbers. So I would continue holding on to both.
All right, that's the view coming in. But meanwhile, before we move on to the next query, the market definitely commands our attention right now. Fair amount of weakness that we're seeing in the Nifty. Bank 650 points lower out there, very close to the 29,000 mark that we're talking about. Also, watch out for a handful of stocks. We have ICICI Bank. The intraday chart of that comes up for you. Weakness out there, down almost 3% at the low point of trade. Alongside that, we have the other financials like State Bank of India, and the biggest weight on both the Nifty Bank as well as the biggest bank weight on the Nifty, HDFC Bank. That one is too sitting at the low point of trade. What's not helping is a couple of these other stocks not doing too well as well. JSW Steel is at the low point of trade, and over and above all of that, we have Ultratech Cement as well, which is seeing a fair amount of selling. So let's see where we go from here. The last half hour or last 1 hour, things could be extremely exciting given the fact that it is weekly options expiry. Let's go across to another query coming in. Manoj Kumar writes to us from Hyderabad, holds 100 shares of SRF at 390 rupees in the last 10 years. Since the last 10 years, it's a long-term investor, as we can see, wants to know whether to hold or sell. First up, wish we would have Manoj Kumar on the phone line. Unfortunately not. Congratulate him for buying a good company, holding on for a long time, and making a fair amount of money. Classic retail value investing and making a fair amount of wealth. That's what the show is about, and that's what our viewers are doing. Rujit, first, your views on SRF and the kind of money he's made. And secondly, it feels good, right, to see retail investors making so much money.
Yes, definitely. First, let me congratulate him for having such a long patience. Especially, the retail investors, we don't see such kind of patience coming in. So the long-term trend still continues to be positive. I don't think he needs to worry much about it, and he's sitting on a handsome gain, so he has nothing to lose from here. So I think he should continue to hold on. If I look at the monthly chart, since he's a long-term investor, so I won't look at the short-term charts. If I look at the monthly chart, then definitely the higher top, higher bottom structure, which has been continuing since the last few years, is still going on. And in fact, even if you look at last 3 months, even at current levels of about 4,500, 5,000 range, good volumes are coming, which indicates that the buying interest is there in the stock even at current rate. So you need not worry much about it, and you should continue to ride on to this trend.
All right, Richard, thanks for that. And SRF has been a great investment for all the investors. This year itself is up around 50% and is at the 52-week high level right now. But let's go across to our next caller. Jyoti Goel calls us from Mumbai with a query. He wants to invest in pharma stocks, preferably Cipla, Sun Pharma and Aurobindo. Jyoti, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Sonal. So my query is actually I have invested recently in a banking, IT, and infra kind of stocks. So now I would like to diversify my portfolio and want to invest in some pharma names. So if you will suggest any stocks to invest there for long-term view, at least for 2 to 3 years, I would say.
All right, hang in there, Jyoti. Before we go across to our experts, we do have another query also, which is coming on the pharmaceutical space as well. Mr. Suman Dhaman writes to us from New Delhi, holds about some shares, we don't know the number, holds some shares of Aarti Drugs at 912 and Laurus Labs at 309. My sense is that he must have bought Laurus Labs before the corporate action and maybe sitting on a fair amount of money. So we have Aarti Drugs and Laurus Labs, as well as our viewer query on the pharmaceutical stocks. China, it's a blank check question on the pharmaceutical space, alongside your views on both Aarti Drugs as well as Laurus Labs.
So first, in terms of the pharma space, to answer the investor's question, my pick as of today would be Cipla, while some of the other stocks in the pharma space also have things going for them. Like, for example, you have Biocon, you have Dr. Reddy's. So you can take your pick, you can have a basket of stocks, equal quantities of them. But Cipla I would prefer at current levels because they are the market leaders in some of the fastest growing segments, in respiratory, in inhalers. And these products, they are also a possibility of launching in the US, in developed markets, US market, where I believe they have product patents which would give them a very good long-term growth. Valuations, I think, are somewhat similar for all these top three companies. So you could take your pick. In terms of Laurus Labs and Aarti Drugs, actually my recommendation would be a switch from current levels. These are companies which have done very well, both in terms of price performance as well as, of course, the numbers have been very good. They're largely, I would say, in the API space, which in my view has got good potential. But if I'm looking at a long-term investment, not real trading, then I would prefer to be in spaces where I see good approvals in hand, good traction in the US market for unique products for inhalers. So I would prefer some of these others over Laurus and Aarti. But I think the whole pharma sector is doing well as of now. So the momentum is likely to continue in terms of price performance for all of them for some more time.
All right, so Shaina expects the momentum in the pharma sector to continue. All right, Shaina and Ruchit, thank you so much for joining us and addressing the queries that have come in from the investors, and wish you have a good day today. But moving on, CNN News 18 continues its endeavor to create awareness toward water conservation with Harpic News 18's Mission Pani and its initiative, the Jal Pratigya Divas. In the mega event, thousands of people took the Jal Pratigya, a pledge to save each and every drop of water. The pledge was led by Union Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Shekhawat. Here are some highlights of the event.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में 2014 में सरकार बनने के बाद में जिस तरह से इस विषय में एक नई क्रांति के साथ में हमने काम किया और एक साथ एश्योर्ड फंडिंग और उसको एक मिशन मोड में जिस तरह से लिया, आज मैं गर्व के साथ में ये बात कह सकता हूं कि इन पिछले 5 साल में हुए कामों के परिणाम स्वरूप आज हमारी गंगा नदी मानक स्तर जो एक नदी से अपेक्षा की जाती है, डिजॉल्व्ड ऑक्सीजन का पैरामीटर लें, चाहे बीओडी सीओडी के पैरामीटर्स लें, कुछ एक छोटे छोटे स्ट्रेचेज जिन पर अभी काम चल रहा है और काम होना शेष है उनको छोड़ दो तो 2500 किलोमीटर की अपनी लंबाई में, लगभग लंबाई में ऐसे पूरी रास्ते में जो है वो बैदिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स का पानी पूरी गंगा में उपलब्ध है।
मेरा आप सभी से आग्रह होगा कि आप जीवन में जल संरक्षण का संकल्प लें और अपने स्तर पर उसे सिद्ध करने का संभव प्रयास करें। That is all pledged here. And now, to become water warriors, let us take this initiative of Mission Pani forward and spread it everywhere. Let the entire country take this pledge today, because Pani nahi to jindagani nahi.
Hello, I'm Al Gore, and I want to congratulate Mission Pawnee for coming forward and taking a stand on the critically important issues of the climate crisis and water conservation. Whether it's in the developed world or in developing regions, everyone should understand how important it is to preserve clean water.
आज जल प्रतिज्ञा दिवस के मौके पर मैं सभी बच्चों और बड़ों को शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूं कि इस मुहिम का हिस्सा बने और बाकियों से अपील करता हूं कि जल प्रतिज्ञा लेकर मिशन पानी का हिस्सा बने।
मुझे खुशी है कि न्यूज़ 18 ने जल मिशन करके एक बड़ा अभियान लिया, पानी मिशन। जो ये मिशन पानी का जो अभियान न्यूज़ 18 ने लिया है, मैं उनको भी शुभकामनाएं देना चाहता हूँ कि मिशन मोड में लोगों को जन जागृत करने की दृष्टि से ये बड़ा अभियान लिया है।